We'll start with this one. How to make her perceive that you are a lover. And I'm going to take that to mean a lover rather than like a provider. Meaning, if you want to go for the one night stand, if you want to go for being perceived as more of a player, that kind of stuff, as opposed to being perceived as a boyfriend. Well, the first thing is you should kind of have those attitudes yourself. But then the second thing is there are specific things that you can say and do. And specifically, I guess certain things you can avoid saying and doing. So let's start there. What can you avoid saying? You can avoid saying things like, I'll take you on a date, next week, or you can not talk about meeting your parents or getting married or that kind of stuff. We can not talk about like how you have like deep business things in common and you could partner with her in various ways. So if you're talking about these very long-term things, you're approaching game from a boyfriend frame, which is not necessarily a terrible thing, but you have to understand you're going to get a different kind of response. You're going to get a response where the girl's going to want you to take her on dates, the girl's going to expect a relationship rather than just sex, those kind of things. And it may even get a situation where the girl will like delay in having sex with you because she doesn't want to like ruin it with the good guy. So be careful of that. Not necessarily anything wrong with it, like I said, but be aware that you're doing it. Second thing would be your attitude. For me, if I'm going for the lover frame, if I'm going for like a one night stand type of game, I like to pretend in my mind that the world will end as soon as the sun comes up. Like I like to pretend that like it's like the sun comes up and just like blasts the world like some kind of like atomic bomb and like obliterates everything the way that like the sun obliterates a vampire almost. It's just like the entire thing's just wiped out when the sun comes up. Meaning, if it doesn't happen tonight, it's never going to happen, right? So the difference that gives you is if you in the back of your head are like, well, if it doesn't happen, I will, be able to follow up and get a day two or do numbers. Or if it doesn't happen, maybe we'll go out later. You're not going to push as hard, and you're also not going to really, really, really find a way to win because you're going to convince yourself in the back of your head that it's higher percentage to just follow up with her the next day, especially when it comes to some really ballsy moves. So you want to kind of have that attitude that the world ends in the morning. Tonight is all you have, etc. Or if it's day game, like today is all you have, and even then, like the world ends in the morning, maybe the following day, because you could stay up all night with the girl. But yeah, if you're going for one night stand, if you're going for the player vibe, then you definitely want to avoid those long-term things. Then what specifically can you do to help you? Well, you can do things like disqualify yourself. You can say things like, I'm not boyfriend material. You can, by the way, you can even dress in such a way. If you're dressed like very clean cut and proper, you're going to be perceived as very boyfriend material. If you're dressed, not that you have to do this or that I'm recommending doing things like getting tattoos or whatever just for this reason, but if you do have long hair, tattoos, if you're dressed in more of a clubby way in general as opposed to a nice guy who's societally put together kind of way, then that's going to contribute to her viewing you as more of a player. So the I'm not boyfriend material phrase can work, but also dressing like you're not boyfriend material. Telling stories about times that you've done adventurous things or times that you've hooked up with girls quickly, or telling stories about like maybe some girl that was like playing silly games with your friend and wanting too much from him, that kind of stuff. I wouldn't do that about yourself because it can sound butthurt, but say it about a friend or about like some kind of situation. If you can do it in a way that doesn't sound try hard or butthurt, that's totally fine. I'll even go so far as to say things like, let's just have fun, let the grown-ups handle the serious stuff, or I don't want to ruin this with facts or feelings. I'll say that kind of stuff. I'll also bring up the idea of sex very early on. I'll usually bring it up in the negative. I'll be like, I don't want to necessarily make the sex with you tonight. I think you're very cute and everything. I just think we should take it slow and just see. Let me make that decision in a half an hour or so, right? Which is it's a push away in a way, but it's also very sexual. It's very forward, etc. You can even in your compliments or in your statements of intent make them very sexual. So you can even say stuff like, there's a part of me that thinks you're very cute and sweet and wants to just like cuddle with you and caress you, and there's a part of me that wants to just throw you up against the wall and have my way with you, and I don't even know. And to be fair, there's a part of me that just wants to leave entirely. All right, so you say these things like that, and again, you're setting this very sexual frame. You're setting this very like physical type of frame. The other thing that you can do to establish that lover vibe as opposed to a provider vibe is just escalate faster. Now, whenever you're escalating quickly, you need to be calibrated. You need to be aware that sometimes you're going to hear no in escalating, and you need to back off in order to run proper game. But just having the idea of escalating quickly should help as well. So those are some different things that I would say that affect the lover provider vibe and put you more in the category of lover as opposed to the category of provider.